Hi everybody, today we are going to talk about this watch. The first time I saw it, it of course reminded me of another, very popular watch. So before we talk about this one, we need to talk about the Rolex Explorer 2. And Christopher Ward doesn't hide this fact. But before we start, I'm going to show you what I'm wearing, and this is the Glycine Base 22 GMT. This Glycine was my first GMT, and I have been looking for GMTs for a very long time, but I wanted also something that is a little bit more versatile, elegant, and with the rugged nature of the Rolex Explorer 2. Since I already have the Rolex Explorer, the 36mm, right now it's a little bit hard for me to get the funds to buy the Rolex Explorer 2. And I wanted to check this one, and the size of the watch and the feeling and everything also about the brand, because I kind of started to be interested with modern mechanical watches through this brand, through because of Christopher Ward. And it's been a long time since I first wanted to have one until I really finally got one. There is no denying that this watch is inspired by several references of the Rolex Explorer 2, the 226570, the most modern one, but I also believe the 16570. So in this sense, I believe this is a good example of something that I'm trying to defend lately, which is that this watch is a true homage. We use the word homage as an euphemism when don't want to talk about direct design copies of watches. But this one is a true homage. They don't hide the inspiration, but it has its own specific design, and although it really reminds of the Rolex Explorer 2, it's its own thing. So it has the specific details of Christopher Ward and many different things. So it's a very cohesive and I think really pays tribute to the Rolex Explorer 2. So Christopher Ward launched the Sealander range inspired in this Explorer 2 that I'm talking about, but also in the Explorer with the same version of this watch but without the GMT hand. And they also launched another model, the Elite, especially for bikers. But we are not going to talk about this Elite model because actually we don't have it, so there's no way I can make a review about it other than I think it looks very interesting. So we are going to focus on this the Sealander GMT with the fourth hand for the GMT hour. But now let's take a look at the watch itself. As I mentioned, it has an original design and with some changes from what we were used with Christopher Ward, which is the logo now is in the center and also the date is in the center. So now it is a very symmetrical watch, which is radically different from the previous versions and models of Christopher Ward, although the trend has been changing in the last years. I think it really looks very nice. So the dial of this model is white, which resembles the very popular Explorer 2 Polar, which I believe is probably the most famous of the Rolex Explorer 2s. And it has the orange GMT hand, which is like the modern references, but at the same time, instead of being a 42mm like the Rolex Explorer, it's a 39. But since the bezel is rather thin, it wears more like a 40mm watch. So I think it's a little bit a mixture between the modern Rolex Explorer 2 and the 16570 reference. The case is brushed with polished transitions. it plays with the light, making it very interesting. This case is called Light Catcher or something like that, and I think it adds, the makes it look thinner than it is. It's not a very thick watch by any stretch, but it's very interesting, very nice. The crown is very well proportioned. The crown guards are not very big or prominent, but I believe good enough to provide extra security. And the lugs curve downward right away, so although it has male end links, it hugs the wrist very, very well. So it's a very wearable watch for almost any wrist size. And it has enough wrist presence for those who really like that. So the measurements are as follows. It has, I think it's around a 45 millimeter distance between lugs. 50 millimeters if you count the extension of the end links. The case is 39 millimeters. It has a very practical 20 millimeters lug width, and it weighs 152 grams with the bracelet and with all links provided. The watch head is 60 grams, and it measures 12.1 millimeter high. The watch has a very good lume, and the orientation is great because of the double button at 12 and the shorter button at 6. And it lasts all night. It's very bright, especially at the beginning, of course, but it lasts all night, so you can use it for cave explorations. And although I don't think a lot of people are going to use it that way, but yes, it lasts all the night. It has a very good lume in general. And okay, now the bracelet is very solid. It doesn't taper much, probably a couple of millimeters, something like that. And it's not tapering, it's a little bit bulky, but the great advantage of this bracelet is that it has an on-the-fly adjustment, which is great because you can change the width of the diameter of this bracelet around your wrist during the day without any problem, so without any tool. So that's very practical, and it's very solid. It looks like it's very well built. The bracelet is push pins with central collar, so it's not screwed link, but once you adjust it, you pretty much forget about it because this is not going to easily break. And with this on-the-fly adjustment, it's just simply very nice to use and everything. And the movement, this is a Sellita SW330-2, and it is very solid. It's easy and pleasant to use, perfectly aligned and robust. You can see it because it has see-through case, and it has a 50-hour power reserve. The way you use it is rather simple. This is, as I said, this is office GMT. Some people say that GMTs are either true or not true, I guess, to those who are travelers GMT. I prefer to call them all GMTs, and different type of GMTs. You have the travelers GMT that allow to move the hour in the local hour in increments of 1 hour each time, while the GMT stays in the original position. And this is an office GMT that allows to change in the first position. Each time you turn it clockwise, you can change the GMT hand without stopping the local hour. So this is very useful to schedule meetings, to know what time it is and where people of your family live in, maybe in other countries, and if you occasionally travel, you can keep this second time zone. So if you are not a very frequent traveler, if you don't travel on a weekly or daily basis through different time zones, this is more than enough and even more convenient in case of I said, an office environment. But if you are traveling, constantly traveling, you might prefer to have a traveler's GMT. So as I said, the first position is about the GMT hour. If you move it counterclockwise, you can change the day. Then you have the third position, and you can hack the movement and change the local hour. And at the same time you change the local hour, the GMT hand moves accordingly. For instance, the original Explorer 2, it wasn't a GMT, it was a watch with a fourth hand indicating if it was AM or PM. So it was tied to the local hour. So every time you were inside a cave, you could know if it was night or day, because in deep caves you cannot see the light. You usually cannot see the light of the day. You might not know if it's time to sleep, to rest, or to keep on moving. So now let's go to the positive of this watch, and there are many. To start with the size, I think this 30mm size is very variable, and it wears like a 40mm. These are the sweet spot of sizes. So it's very comfortable in the wrist, it's not massive, and it packs a lot of functionality. It's very versatile. You can use it in many occasions. It's rather sporty. Maybe the non-GMT version is a little bit more versatile in other environments, but if you want to have a GMT watch that is handsome enough and you can use it in many instances, this is I think this is the option. It's a very nice one. Extraordinarily practical. With 150 meters water resistance, you can go from the top of the mountains to the sea. You can swim with it, and you can travel to other places, and you have a convenient GMT to keep track of your home time zone or other place you are going to travel to. So very, very practical indeed. The price is also very good given the quality of the watch, because the quality it's exquisite. The price is, I think it's around 1,200 euros, but there are freaking discounts. You can there are many discounts during the year in Christopher Ward. You can take off like 100 and 120 euros, something like that. So if you wait for the discounts, you can get from a 10 to a 15% off of the watch. So this is a very good price given the quality of the movement, the finishing, and the overall package that you're getting. It looks good with almost any strap. Being white, of course, you can change it, and also you can change the bracelet very easily. You can put an NATO, leather strap, tropical strap, anything. You can use it with lots of straps. So this is very, very nice. The on-the-fly adjustment, I think it's great. I think more brands should bring this in this price range. So there's an elephant in the room, which is about the customer support and customer service. I haven't had any issue with this watch, but I have heard some stories about people having some trouble with the customer support. My own experience is that when contacted customer service, the customer support, they did help me perfectly well. So all I can say is that for me this has been okay. It has been a good customer support. I guess these problems with the customer service has been because of the success of the brands. It has grown a lot in the last years, and sometimes it's very hard to scale your business up so to match the need of support of all the customers around the world. So sometimes that brings difficulties in companies that transforms in worse customer support, and I hope that Christopher Ward has sorted this out. That's all I can say about this because I don't have any other experience. So if you have had recently bad experiences with customer support or anything like that, please tell in the comments below. We would like to know, because this is very important in this channel, that customer support is a reasonable good one. In general, I think this is a great option of go anywhere, do anything watch with its own personality while reminiscent of the Rolex Explorers, which I think is a very good characteristic in this case. And you can be proud of owning this watch. This is its own thing. Now let's go to the negatives. So there are not many negatives, and many are very subjective, as always. So the second hand has no lume. And while this is not essential for this type of watch, I would have loved to have seen the second hands with lume. Now, what else? Yes, the bracelet does not taper a lot. I think it would be more comfortable if it tapered a little bit more. But I mean, this is a really minor issue. The bracelet is solid and looks strong and is well balanced. The biggest thing I think is that the hands are silver, and depending on the light and being white, sometimes it's a little bit harder to see the hour. Not by much, but I really think that Christopher Ward should have taken the step that Rolex did and should have painted the hands and the markers in black. That would have made it much more legible. And that's basically the only thing that I see. And again, this is minor because it's not difficult to see the time, almost never. So it works fine the way it is, but I think it would be better if it was if the hands were in black. In conclusion, this is an absolutely recommendable watch. Christopher Ward, new way of displaying the logo and the date, this symmetry which I really like in watches, the finishing, the quality, the solid feeling of the movement and everything. I think it is great, the functionality. So there are other colors like the black, a blue and a green one. The green one is awesome. I feel really tempted with the green one. I think this is a very solid proposal of Christopher Ward at a very reasonable price. And again, far from being a simple copy design, this is a real homage, a real tribute in the real sense of the word. This is what homages should be considered to be, not designed copies of watches of the past or the present. I don't have anything against design copies, okay? Just say that this is the truly tribute to the watches of exploring caves and to be able to go anywhere with it. So thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. I know it's gone a little bit too long, sorry about that, but I'm really impressed with the quality of the brand, the finishing and everything. And again, thanks to everybody who has subscribed to the channel. I'm really happy with how this is progressing, and hope to see you soon in the next video. I have quite a few in the pipeline. Thank you very much. Bye bye.